Callebs joins us now for more on the fight against the Islamic State, another active day for the U.S.-led coalition, launching airstrikes in the besieged city of Kobani.
Yeah, the sixth day in a row, U.S.-led strikes have hit that region. The U.S. and coalition members show no let-up in their attack on the Islamic State in Iraq and in Syria. But at the same time, IS militants also continue their campaign of terror. Meanwhile, President Obama says U.S. intelligence underestimated the strength of the Islamic State as it took form and grew into a power during the chaos that erupted in Syria after the Arab Spring. For the first time, U.S. and coalition aircraft from 3 Arab nations dropped bombs on Islamic State terrorists attacking the town of Kobani along the Syrian-Turkish border, where outgunned Kurdish fighters are under siege from IS militants. As the U.S.-led assault gained strength, criticism of Islamic State violence in Syria and Iraq is growing.
This is madness. These people cannot be voices of Islam. They don't understand Islam. And just claiming the Khalifa is simply a way of creating false legitimacy of their purpose.
As many as 160,000 Kurdish refugees have poured across the border from Kobani into Turkey. Despite coalition aerial attacks, IS extremists continue to capture communities in the area.
I wish to make special reference to the grave humanitarian situation and decreasing refugee pressure on countries of the region, including Greece. Military means alone cannot eliminate the jihadist threat.
The U.S. says airstrikes were carried out with help from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and the United Arab Emirates. While the U.S. points out those 3 Arab nations are dominated by Sunnis, there are harsh critics of the U.S.-led action. Russia's foreign minister says the United States must realize it cannot act, as he puts it, as the prosecutor, judge, and executioner in every part of the world.
The struggle against terrorists in the territory of Syria should be structured in cooperation with the Syrian government, which clearly stated its readiness to join it. From the very beginning of the Arab Spring, Russia urged to not leave it to extremists and to establish a united front to counter the growing terrorist threat.
Despite President Obama's adamant stance that the U.S. will not use ground troops in the Middle East in the fight against IS, a new opinion poll shows many Americans simply don't believe that. According to the new survey, nearly 3 in 4, 72%, believe eventually the United States will send ground troops to degrade and destroy the jihadists. And nearly half say they would support the use of ground troops if military leaders say that is what's necessary to destroy the Islamic State.
That's certainly an interesting poll. President Obama was speaking out tonight on another American network, we understand. Yeah, he was asked point blank, how did this happen? And he said that it was just basically a complete failure of the staff in charge of national intelligence. For a direct quote from the president, let me read here for just a second. He said his direct quote said, during the chaos of the Syrian civil war, where essentially you had huge swaths of country that are completely ungoverned, they were able to reconstitute themselves and take advantage of that chaos. He's talking about Al-Qaeda that eventually became the Islamic State. Going on to say they were able to attract foreign fighters who believed in their jihadist nonsense and traveled everywhere from Europe to the United States to Australia to other parts of the Muslim world, converging on Syria. And so this became ground zero for jihadists around the world. Pretty blunt statement and a pretty big failure on the U.S. behalf. Callebs, thank you for that.